Hi guys, Mike from We Build Stuff. Today we're going to start on main body panels and wheels. Now it's time to cut out the rest of the cabinet pieces. These are all going to be either square or rectangular, and I'm going to do the entire thing with a circular saw instead of cheating and using a table saw. To get nice straight cuts, I'm going to use this lovely Craig AccuCut circular saw track guide. If you don't have a fancy guide like this, don't worry. You can pretty much just strap down a 2x4, clamp down a 2x4 instead, and run your saw against it so it gets nice and straight. Just cut slowly. There's my mixture of imperial and metric measurements because I can. I make all my main panel pieces to be 81 centimeters wide, or about 32 inches, and I continue to use the circular saw with the track guide to get decently straight cuts. Again, I would love to be using a table saw for this, however, I wanted to show that you can actually get this done with other tools at your disposal. So today we got every single piece cut out. All the measurements were finished. So instead of going right for my original plans, I've just measured based on what I've created here. Labeled everything. So for example, top 23. I'm going to cut that after. There's my piece, top 23. All of these are cut out. This thing is going to be crazy heavy. So I think I'm going to rethink my casters on the bottom. Instead of just having 2 wheels and front blocks, I'm thinking we're doing 4 wheels for easy transport, and 2 of the wheels will have locks on the back. Let's see how that goes. The next thing I'm doing is adding slots around the outside of my pieces for T-molding. I'm using this scrap piece, a little bit extra, to try and make sure my bit is perfectly centered before I actually go to my final pieces. Do a small adjustment here and there, measure it, make sure it works good. The T-molding slot cutter runs on a bearing, so it just goes close to your piece. And those 3 little cutters dig deep. Still gotta go nice and slow though. So now that everything is pretty much cut out, I've routed the edges. I think I've planned at least 90 to 95% of what's going to be happening next. I'm going to start assembling pieces. There's going to be at least 3 to 4 body panels that are going to be glued in. They will not be able to be removed. They're fixed. I'm not quite sure how else to say that. That's going to be a bottom piece, the mid shelf, or at least that's what I'm calling it, and top angle. I'll probably do a little piece here that's roughly 4 inches long. I'm hoping to make this top piece, the marquee, my speaker panel, my screen panel, the back door, and potentially the front panel, all removable by using bolts and a T-nut. We're gonna see how this goes. So to support everything, I'm gonna be using these 1 inch by 1 inch blocks. I have these in various lengths, mostly at around 2 feet or 60 centimeters long. To affix them to the board, I'm gonna be using 1.5 inch or 38 millimeter 18 gauge galvanized brad nails. It will give me enough bite to go through the block and into my material by about 1/2 inch. I have seen videos where people use screws to fit them in. However, using wood glue is going to be strong enough. All right, time to set the camera up and you can see me do this stuff. Oh, by the way, these casters are going to switch things up a little bit. We're going to have a locking swivel caster in the back and then just a fixed straight caster in the front. This will give me about 3/4 of an inch underneath, some extra space, and they shouldn't be too visible. You're not really going to be looking for these anyways. This is going to make it easier to move around because this thing is going to be heavy.
Now, just like every other step you see in this video, you might be able to cut them out in a different way. To prove that I'm only using hand tools for, well, most of the project, I grabbed a saw and started chopping these.
All right, so I need to attach these down. I'm going to use brad nails and some glue. I got to go find some glue. No, not here. Let's see. It's old. Some old glue there. Let's see, what do I got? Oh, okay. That's don't know if that's going to be strong enough. Let's see. Maybe something bigger. Ah, it's still not perfect. Oh, here we go. Perfect. This is what I need today. Let's do this. Most important steps is getting everything as lined up straight as you can. If one of these is crooked, the whole thing's just going to be wobbly if you try to force things together. That's an extreme example. Get it as close as you can. You can use as much glue as you like because you can wipe it off after. Anything that squeezes out, no problem. Nothing's coming through the bottom. That's good. Let's do this thing. This piece is just for a little bit extra support since this is going to be holding a lot of weight. That's where my casters are going to go.
Unfortunately, I ran out of mustard, so I had to switch back to glue. So the process shown here is pretty much the same for every single one of those blocks. Add some glue, add some nails. But I still want to show every single step that I do because that, I'm sure, is helpful for some people that are watching this video.
So this slot, that's here for when I drop my plastic or my screen protector in. We'll see if it works, and if not, nobody's going to see it anyway, so I'm just going to keep on gluing.
Are you noticing a pattern here? I'm kind of doing the same thing over and over. Why wouldn't I just edit that out of the video? Because I'm trying to show literally every step I took, whether that's using a screwdriver like 1,000 times or just once. I'm going to show everything.
So now that I have pretty much all my blocks in, minus the screen and my marquee blocks, it's time to start attaching my permanent support pieces. Now for a lot of these little cuts that I have, it's mostly just straight pieces, but some are going to require an angle cut. This is not required when building your own arcade cabinet. I've done my best throughout this entire project to only use hand power tools. Things like a jigsaw, a skill saw, drills, stuff like that. But I'm going to cheat. I'm going to do one cut or two on my table saw. This is not required when building an arcade cabinet, especially when these are areas that nobody can see. But for me, I've got one angle here. It's my top angle piece where I kind of want to do an angle just to make it look really nice. One thing I might do is actually cut my angles a little bit more. So if it's 15 degrees, I'll cut it at 20 just to keep my fit, because from the outside, you're not going to see a thing. This will allow me to figure out exactly what it is for future projects. I unfortunately shouldn't have put my blocks in yet. I should have done my measuring. But this seems to be about 15 degrees, so I'm going to cut it around 20.
Now you can also do this on a circular saw or skill saw. You can just change the angle on it, put a straight edge against, and still do your cut. But I was running out of time for this project, and I just wanted to get a couple of these things done before I went home for the night. Like a glove. Now just another quick angle on the other side of that same piece.
So now that I have all of that done, it's time to start attaching these solid pieces. And it's just dawned on me just how big this thing is going to be. I'm going to need some help moving this off the table later, but I'm going to do the most I can here before I attach the top piece.
This is my mid-shelf piece. If I don't router it now, I'm going to have a real hard time putting a router in it after. That's for the T-molding. Again, decorative but optional. Now this little piece is going to be for the casters. This is going to just give it a little bit more strength. Instead of having to lay out more measurement lines, I just found a block of wood to use as a spacer, and that just makes it a whole lot easier for laying out the location of the casters.
The rear swivel, instead of it being right up here, it's kind of useless if it can't quite do all of those turns. So I'm going to be dropping it down enough for at least that much, I think. I don't think it's going to need to be able to do full corners. And this way it doesn't get stuck there either. So I'm going to draw that in right about there. That's going to give me plenty of motion. And if it doesn't, I will drill this out, move it down. That way we get the full swivel. But I think this is going to be just fine. So this is exciting. I didn't think I'd be able to build this quick, but it's working out great. These wooden blocks here, I've got 4, that's just some scrap MDF, and that
It's just to give a little extra bite to the screws that are holding the casters in place.
I'm going to start assembling other pieces, all the other panels. We'll go from there.
Just long enough to go down those